Yan Ching, there are still some attendees just join in the meeting.
Yifeng Leong leave a message in the chat room that no sounds. I hope you are hearing now because I can hear Xiao Tao clearly. I hope you are.
Oh. Yeah. Okay, Wai, I think we could start.
Yes, I can. I'm ready.
Let me record. Okay, you may start, please.
Hello, good morning, thank you for joining us for this on the online press conference. We have like 34 of us here in this meeting room, other than myself and also YB Hannah. We also got reps from media and also reps from the Persatuan and Tadika, or we also have like Persatuan Pengusaha Institusi Pendidikan, and also some also the Persatuan Pendidik Awal Kanak-Kanak. So I think later on I will have a brief introduction for those attended this online press conference. But I would just like to give a brief background why we are having this press conference today. Basically, the purpose of this press conference is to highlight the inconsistency of the SOP being given or announced by the government for the kindergarten's operator. You can see that on the 7th of May, when our MKM or the defense minister first announced that several states or several districts is going to have to impose MCO. This is the guideline that they announced. Basically, it says that pusat asuhan kanak-kanak, taska, tabika, and also tadika dibenarkan beroperasi dengan kebenaran beroperasi oleh kementerian agensi yang berkaitan. So if we look at the SOP announced by the MKM at that point in time, when we first enter MCO for Selangor 6 district in Selangor and also Johor the next day, actually childcare centers together with Tadikas, kindergarten, they are actually allowed to operate, of course, with the permission of the agency and also the ministry. And the next day, because of that, I think actually, for example, Selangor, they actually allowed childcare center together with the Tadika kindergartens to operate, dibenarkan dengan kebenaran daripada kementerian agensi dan berkaitan. And at that point in time, I believe that all childcare operator together with the kindergarten operator and all the parents, we still plan our daily activities as usual. We plan how to send our kids to kindergarten, and I think for the kindergarten operator also planning your teaching sessions as normal as usual. However, I think just same for Kulai, this is the guidelines given by the Majlis Perbadaran Kulai. They also allow pusat asuhan kanak-kanak, taska, tadika, and also tabika to continue to operate, of course, with the permission for the kementerian and also agency. But suddenly, I think confusion. This is for Kurang from Johor as well. Similar guidelines. Every kindergarten and also taska, they are all allowed to operate. However, I think confusion came in yesterday early morning. I believe a lot of the kindergarten operator only received this instruction yesterday morning, that suddenly we have a guideline, the WhatsApp message from Bahagian Pendidikan Swasta, Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia, that actually announced that tadika swasta tidak dibenarkan beroperasi secara bersemuka bermula 10 hari bulan Mei hinggalah 6 hari bulan Jun 2021. So suddenly, I think kindergarten operator, they received this instruction from MOE saying that they are not allowed to operate, and therefore, I think many parents actually have already sent their kids to the kindergarten, and then many parents suddenly received the call from the kindergarten and have to rush back to the kindergarten to fetch their kid. So eventually, all the teachers actually gave the children their books for them to take home, and then they start planning for the online learning again. It happens to me as well. I fetch my kid, and then they give me all the books that say that okay, now we turn to online learning. So this was announced yesterday morning. However, we all know that yesterday evening, our Prime Minister announced that now the whole Malaysia will enter MCO 3.0. And then is part of his speech, he mentioned that Pusat Asuhan Kanak-kanak, Tadika, Taska, dan Tadika dibenarkan beroperasi mengikut SOP yang ditetapkan bagi membantu urusan kerja ibu bapa atau penjaga. So again, suddenly yesterday evening, in our PM speech, he mentioned that now childcare operator together with the kindergarten, they are now allowed again. They are allowed to operate. So we can see that they are the instruction given to the kindergarten are very, very inconsistent. 7th of May, they say that MKM basically said that kindergartens are allowed to continue to operate with the permission of the MOE. But however, suddenly, yesterday morning, MOE suddenly said that kindergarten cannot operate, cannot have physical class, it need to turn to online learning. And then yesterday evening, when the PM made the announcement that the whole country entered MCO 3.0, suddenly Tadika kindergarten is now allowed to operate once again. So I think this is the confusion caused by the government. It seems that there is no clear guidelines, there is no clear discussion, there is no decision made by MKM. MKM decide one thing, MOE decide one thing, and then PA in the evening announce another thing. This caused a lot of confusion to the kindergarten operator and also the parents and also the teachers. So I think this is the issue that need to be highlighted, because this is the third time we enter MCO already. We really don't understand. I really do not understand why our government can be so confused and keep on changing their SOP, etc. So today, we have a few, we have reps from across the country. We have like Madam Chipeng, and she is the president of Persatuan Guru-Guru Tadika Malaysia, and also we have Dr. Lin Beng Sweat, pengusaha. We also have Lee Eng Hua, President of Persatuan Majikan dan Pusat Pendidikan Malaysia. We have Patrick Tia, Secretary of Persatuan Pengusaha Institusi Pendidikan Pulau Pinang. We have Puan Ruzita, Setiausaha Persatuan Tadika Islam Malaysia. Encik Halim, Pengerusi Persatuan Pengusaha Taska dan Tadika Persatuan Kelantan. We have Lai Jauti, Pengerusi Guru Tadika, Naik Pengerusi Persatuan Guru-Guru Tadika NS, Chan In In, Naik Pengerusi Persatuan Pendidik Awal Kanak-kanak Pahang, Chong Siu Ngo, Persatuan Guru-Guru Tadika Negeri Johor, Ho Chiong, Treasurer of Persatuan Pras Sekolah Pulau Pinang, Encik Mr. Chia Ka Eng, AJK of Persatuan Pengusaha Tadika Swasta Negeri Perlis. We also have Carol Chin, Malaysia IGCSE Teacher Association, and also Miss Grace Hang In Wai, Assistant Secretary of Chinese Medalist ECE. So first of all, I think I will just stop here, and then I would like to invite Madam Eng Chi Peng to give her views, President of Persatuan Guru Tadika Malaysia. Madam Eng, yes.
Sorry, YP, my next door renovation. Okay, thank you, YP, and thank you, YP, and also thank you, Hannah Yeoh, for holding this press conference. Actually, we welcome, Tadika are under purviews of MOE. We welcome any instructions from MOE, but please give us sufficient time to prepare, not like yesterday morning, others immediate to call the parents to bring back their child. Actually, it caused a lot of insufficiency and caused some parents, even though what's wrong, what happened in this country, what's wrong with your school, will create like a misunderstanding also. So we hope that if let's say is anything instruction from MOE, please give us sufficient time. And another thing is when government are allowed tadika to open, please also come along with that tadika can operate. If not that, we know that tadika also, we provide daycare service for our 4, 5, and 6 years old students. If tadika can open, parents are allowed to send that child below 4. And for those like the 4, 5, for kids with 4, 5, 6, they are not allowed to send to the daycare center. So actually this is not a new topic. It's already in the system for long times ago. I know that previously YB Teo Nie Ching and Hannah Yeoh also trying to solve this problem for us, but until now that's they're still there. That hopefully through for this, even though it's MCO1 or MCO2 or MCO3, everyone learned that there's a problem with this system. We hopefully that this system could be solved as soon as possible.
That's it from you?
Yes.
Okay. Now can I invite Dr. Lim Beng Shuet, Pengerusi Persatuan Perusahaan Institusi Pendidikan Pulau Pinang to say a few words.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, YB, for having me here. Actually, today, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So, actually, thank you to having this press conference. We are welcome. I mean, we know that our Perdana Menteri, our government, they quite worried about the spread of COVID-19. But as kindergarten operators or tadika or pusat jagaan operators, we feel that we are in essential line. So because we are so important to all the parents, you know, without us, the parents they can't work. Even they work from home or they are doing face-to-face work. I mean, they go to their working. I mean, their factory. I mean, they work at home or not at home. Actually, they need our service also. So I think yesterday our government declare. I mean, like from not declare. They said from today onwards that we cannot do. I mean, face-to-face teaching. We need to do online teaching. So we have to close. I feel that this is quite, quite hard for all the parents because we are essential line and the parents need us, and especially we do our SOP. I mean, we are very firm in our SOP because if we can't open, so the parents, they can't send their kids to us, means they will send to nanny, maybe they send to auntie, they send to their, neighbors because they can't find anybody because last minute, isn't it? So this one will create more problem, will create more, because if we can't cut the link, you know, the spread, because we just simply, the parent, sometimes they can't find anybody, they just send to somebody. Those people, they follow exactly the SOP. So, but we are educators, so we know where we are and we are very strict in our SOP. So we hope that our government also, thinking of all the teachers in private sector, like pendidikan swasta, because we are also frontliner, we consider frontliner, we need to, to vaccinate earlier, because we deal with all the kids, because kids, they can't be vaccinated. So we have to vaccinate ourselves first, so that the kids are safe or not. So we urge the government to consider us as a frontliner, then give us the priority first. Then we can be earlier, not like waiting until we also don't know the date. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lim. So now I would like to invite Lee Eng Hua, President of Persatuan Majikan Pusat Pendidikan Malaysia, to say a few words.
Hi, YB Teo and YB Hannah. Thanks for having me here, and thanks also for the conference. And then, okay, my Persatuan also represents the operator from Pusat Tuition and Pusat Jagaan. as we know, not only the children before primary school, they need for childcare service. So the primary student, they also need for childcare service as well. And right now, all the pusat tuition and pusat jagaan, they're also quite confusing because the parents, okay, they don't understand that which center are allowed to do tuition service and which center are doing for the jagaan. Okay, so we urge the government to also consider the parents who having the child age 7 to 12, they also need for the childcare service. Okay, and the tuition center right now, they also having one-stop education service. Okay, even education industry need to be stopped, but the childcare service, they also need the support, okay, the parents, especially the working parents. Okay, so this is what I need to highlight here. And also, this is also my sharing. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Now I would like to invite Mr. Patrick Tia, Secretary of Persatuan Pengusaha Institusi Pendidikan Pulau Pinang, to say a few words.
Yes, thank you, YB. Thank you, YB Teo and YB Yeoh for organizing this conference. So as you know, I'm the Secretary of PPIPP, and we represent the operators of education institutions in Penang. I think from my perspective, we hope that going forward, government will put more emphasis on childcare and early childhood education. I mean, because it supports working parents and also it really invests in the future generation for Malaysia. And I think that's quite important. During this pandemic period, many tadika operators felt, tadika and taska also really felt that the industry has the lowest priority. So when it came to reopening last year, if you remember, tadika was the last to reopen. When actually, in our view, it was the most important because that's something that parents really, really need on a day-to-day basis. Right? And actually, we understand because the MOE has a lot to worry about. They have a lot of schools, high school, primary school, boarding schools, right? And the different vernacular school as well. So we understand that. But I think what would benefit the industry and also the children is that to have more resources from the ministry dedicated to tadika, so to better understand the needs of the sector. Right? I think research has shown, a lot of research has shown, actually, early childhood education actually gives the highest returns over a person's lifetime. A lot of people still have the concept that, just go and play only, it's not a big deal, but actually it can affect the person's life into the future because it shapes their character, their confidence, their self-aware, or how they interact with other people as well, right? And also a lot of research has shown from other countries also that schools are safe from COVID, and actually the children are much safer and healthier when the schools are open and not when they're closed, right? So we really hope that going forward the ministry will have more dialogue with the public and also with the the private operators when they shape their policies, and then so I think overall we'll have a much better result for Malaysia in terms of education for the children and for all the parents as well. So that's what I'd like to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other stakeholders who would like to share your views before? Yes.
Yes. Can I add in something?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, we would like to urge our government also maybe park all these pendidikan swasta under one department, so not under different departments, so that actually when they give guideline or they declare anything also that it will I mean they have two double standard. Sometimes we also don't know where to this one because like. Sometimes pusat jagaan can be operate and taska and tadika is not allowed to operate. So actually this should be categorized in one roof. Okay, so we sincerely hope that this one will work like maybe pusat tuition or all these they can be in different one department, so easy to handle. So this is our what we want to highlight. Thank you.
Sorry if I could just add, Dr. Lim, sorry to interrupt. Very interesting that you mentioned that as well, because actually in Singapore, they have the ECDA, the ECDA, right? And the structure is quite similar to Malaysia, where you have the nurseries under the welfare department and then the kindergarten under the education department. But they have this agency, the early childhood development agency, that sits between both of them, and then they shape the policy and they become the one-stop shop. So that is something that we could consider as an option.
Okay, any other stakeholders would like to say something before I invite YB Hannah? Anyone?
YB Yeoh.
Yes, Sally.
Yeah, we actually seen the implementations of multiple MCOs. Actually, all of us, we should know better in preventing the spread of COVID-19, and then our government also should know how to implement better to set the SOP for us. Okay, so we hope that since that we have the different MCO, just like MCO, CMCO, or whatever EMCO, so make sure they give us a one standard instruction. So that means that when government announce that we are going to implement MCO, then what is the standard procedure for our, even though TASCA or tadika, then we know what to do. So if CMCO are allowed TASCA to open or not allowed, okay? In future, whatever MCO they are going to announce, then we know, okay, CMCO, we know what to do. MCO, we know what to do. EMCO, okay, cannot open, then we know. So we can have a prepared preparation, and we can inform our parents early, and then we can give this information throughout the whole Malaysia. They will know, parents also know. Okay, MCO can open. You see, like MCO 2, we are very grateful that our Minister of Education said that they are allowed. I still remember in one interview, he said that why some people questioned him, why you allow all the school have to close, why you allow tadika to open? His answer is because of the way can provide service to the parents. Okay, then when they announced for the MCO 3, then we thought that, oh, since this time that because of government already knows tadika daycare service is essential, so they will allow us. So even though when we reconfirm with the PPD, they said that tadika allowed, but suddenly in the morning, when we just wake up in the morning, when we clock out our students, suddenly we received the message. We say that, oh, so that means they have no standard. MCO 2 can, MCO 3 cannot. And then later on can, but anyhow, the end result for yesterday is good for us. Okay, even though it's pushing here, pushing there, end result is good for us, but we need that a standard. So MCO can or cannot, let us know earlier. CMCO can, then we want a standard. So no matter whatever in future you announce, then we know what to do.
Thank you, Sally. Any other stakeholders?
Can I say something?
Who is it?
I'm Chan.
Yes, Chan Yin, is it? Madam Chan. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Hold on. Okay, I'm actually from Persatuan Pendidik Awal Kanak-Kanak Pahang. First of all, let me thank both the YB. I think the last time we had a Zoom with all of you, so it was very successful, and thank you for bringing this out. Just to add on, we really appreciate that for this kind of matter, they should synchronize, like all of us said. It should be under like one body where you synchronize between this, and not everybody, MOE say something, then the local JPMP say something, then the PM say something. So it's pretty confusing, as you have heard from the other people. So we will suggest that maybe it's under one umbrella. And then the other thing, one of them, I think Dr. Lim brought up a very good point, that our educators in the school, the teachers, they are given the vaccine. So for us who is in the daycare, the pusat jagaan, and the TASCA, teachers that deal directly with children, maybe we should be given the same priority to be given the vaccine, because we are in direct contact with the children as well as the parents of the children. Like it or not, these days you notice that we have to deal with parents, and some of these parents has tested positive, so that throws a panic to the whole thing. So I think we appeal that if can, the teachers in the preschool, pusat jagaan, and the kindergarten be given the vaccine. I mean, that's my view lah. Anyway, thank you so much for doing this, and we appreciate, and we are relieved actually that we can operate as it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chang. Any other? Or Hannah, you want to say something now?
Okay, I think I can recap already. Basically, there are 4 points that we want to highlight to the media. Number one, for early childhood education and care, it is very clear that there are not one responsible body involved. There are actually 4 ministries and 4 ministers involved. And as a result, a lot of people fall through the gap. There's a lot of confusion. So number one, for 0 to 4 years old, they are parked under Kementerian Pembangunan Wanita, Keluarga dan Masyarakat under Rina Harun. Number 2, tadika falls under Ministry of Education. Number 3, taska perpaduan, that falls under the Unity Ministry. And then number 4, you have Kementerian Pembangunan Luar Bandar, Rural Development, in charge of all the taska and tabika kemas across the country. So when you have 4 different authorities, it is very confusing for parents who are reading the SOP. Don't talk about the persatuan or pengasuh who already know. Imagine the parents who do not know. When they are reading this, they won't know that there are 4 different ministries. They won't know that these are all separate authorities. And so because of that, we have already said during the Harapan government, we have initiated meetings to ask that early childhood be revamped and all parked under Ministry of Education for future coordination and also for continuity in the quality of education. By the time a child enters standard 1, they are ready from all different backgrounds. That's one. Now, number 2, this also touches on dual licensing problem. Dual licensing problem is where you have a taska or a tadika taking care of younger or older siblings. Okay, because parents have been urging, this is how the early childhood service has evolved over the few years, and now there are many centers providing these dual services, taska and tadika. But the dual licensing problem, I have issued statement and asking for Ministry of Education and especially Rina Harun to make sure that this is coordinated. This needs to be resolved because at the moment they are all without this dual licensing, and as a result, sometimes they can end up being summoned in this very difficult environment. Now, number 3, I think we have done this press conference online. We have done the press conference in Parliament. We have issued statement. This is the 3rd time we are all talking about this. And so I think once and for all, the government or MKN needs to just come up with an announcement that childcare, especially for children under the younger ones especially, needs to be labeled essential service and nobody is to touch that. Because in whatever circumstances, whether it's MCO, CMCO and all that, this needs to remain open. So the only time I think you will shut down a taska or tadika is when there's infection. That means there are positive cases in there. Other than that, I think it should be standardized, just like how you open hospital and grocery store. Taska and tadika must always be categorized as essential service to avoid this problem happening in MCO 4.0, for example. Now, finally, I want to talk about the last minute notice. The last minute notice, especially for children who cannot talk yet, and that is the taska age, 0 to 4 years old. When you have last minute notice, you will have parents scrambling for last minute ad hoc random childcare arrangement. And that would mean that the child would be passed on to somebody in the same district, because in this environment, a lot of parents are afraid of sending their children to the grandparents because the grandparents are in the high risk group. So you don't want the grandparents to pick up COVID. But when you have last minute notice and parents have to work, because the condition now is so difficult for many people don't dare to tell their bosses that I don't have childcare because they are afraid of losing their job. And as a result, people will park these children anywhere with the neighbor next door, people who are not trained to handle young children. And worst of all, these young kids below 4 years old, even if there are abuses, they are not able to communicate to their parents. And so these cases will not be picked up until later on. And so last minute notice to MKN, last minute notice will definitely harm children in the process. We are just waiting for Parliament to open so that we can actually ask for this data, how many police reports have been lodged during this time. And as a result of confusing SOPs, putting children at risk. So these are the 4 points I want to talk about, and I definitely agree with the association's call for childcare providers to be vaccinated, because kids don't show symptoms. A lot of them don't show symptoms, and if we don't know, everybody will get it. So it's important that you label them as essential service and only shut down when there is positive infection. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. So any questions from the media? Any questions from the media or any other stakeholders who would like to share your views?
Yes, YB Hannah Yeoh. Yeah, can I? Hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes. Dr. Lim.
Now, YB Hannah Yeoh mentioned about the dual licensing. So actually, we hope that because tadika, we are not allowed to taking care of like daycare children. No? Means we can only provide, education. So we cannot take care of kids. But normally parents, they send to our center. They cannot say after 12:30, then they will send to another center. This one will make them, trouble. So we hope that we also can, if they cannot park us under a roof, we hope that they can let us, apply dual license. Because like we can take tadika and pusat jagaan together, but actually this is not allowed. So we hope that in future maybe this is allowed, like taska and tadika in a same building, or pusat jagaan and tadika in a same building. So we hope this can be, we can bring up this also.
Yeah, Dr. Lim, just for your information, when we were in government, right, we already conducted site visits to look at cases where there are 2 licenses involved in one premise. And we called the local council, we discussed with all of them, and it was already in discussion in many meetings for dual licensing to be finalized. Not just for taska and tadika, there's a lot of sekolah mengaji where the kids have, it's a transitional few hours where the kids have to come and just shower and change and then go for class mengaji. And so because of that, a lot of them are afraid of being being penalized by especially local council. Local council will come and shut them down. So for the media who may be confused, a lot of these tadika, they look after 5 and 6 years old, right? But then a lot of parents cannot send the kids to 2 different centers because, in Klang Valley, it's very jam or whatever. So a lot of them will send their younger siblings to the same tadika and say, please have just extra service that you provide to look after my 3-year-old or my 4-year-old. Okay. So because of that, they have to then apply to 2 different kementerian. One for JKM, Kementerian Wanita, then another one is the Ministry of Education. Now, by the time they go to licensing in local council will come and check. And for the guideline for taska and the guideline for tadika is different. Okay, then a lot of these premises are then asked to provide 2 doors, 2 separate gates. Okay, because they want a clear demarcation that there is a taska and a tadika within the same premise, which does not make sense. And so because of this chicken and egg thing is forever unresolved, we were already pushing for this. And I've already issued a statement to ask Rina Harun to please resolve this once and for all, because you get caught the most in an announcement like this and in an MCO announcement where, taska has issued, tadika has not issued, and the parents are stuck. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, YB Hannah again. Please put pusat tuition and pusat jagaan also, because pusat tuition they provide tuition, but pusat jagaan they provide care, after school care, means for primary school. But now they need to have different license also. This one also very confusing. Thank you.
I think Dr. Lim we fully understand this issue. That's why it was one of PH manifesto that we want to set out ECCA, Early Childhood Care and Education Agency, similar to what we have in Singapore. So I think MOE need to be a little bit more understand what happened on the ground. These days tuition center doesn't really operate merely as a tuition center only. It also provide care services. Just like what Hannah mentioned just now, kindergarten is no longer just kindergarten. They also provide care services. And therefore, when you say kindergarten cannot operate because the preschool in government school also are closed, it doesn't make sense, because in government school, preschool is merely preschool. So after 4 hours, kids go back to school. There is no so-called care services being provided in the preschool in government school. However, the kindergarten that operate in the private sector actually has totally different. I mean, some kindergarten, yes, they still merely provide kindergarten education services, but many, I believe the majority of the kindergarten these days, they provide care services, not just for children between 4 to 6 years old, but also for children who are attending primary school. And therefore, I think when MOE doing their planning, they need to understand what happens in bahagian swasta, in the private sector. And they cannot consider, they cannot think that, or cannot assume that kindergarten should be put under the same standard like preschool, because preschool in the government school is totally different. It's only 4 hours, and then after 4 hours, kids go home. There's no care services, but you cannot adopt the same standard for kindergarten. Otherwise, the parents will suffer, the teachers will suffer, and then we need to see more communication between NKM and also MOE. We cannot have NKM say one thing, MOE said one thing, and then later on PM said another thing. Actually, in this case, I would say it looks like NKM and PM, they understand kindergarten and childcare, they belong to the same category, and they are trying to apply same SOP for these two, childcare center and also kindergarten. But MOE is the one who make very unreasonable decision here, saying that kindergarten need to be closed because school are closed, and therefore kindergarten need to be closed as well. I think that is a little bit insensitive, doesn't really understand how kindergarten operate on the ground these days, and is going to cause a lot of confusion. It's really like less than 24 hours, suddenly say kindergarten cannot operate, parents need to rush back to get their children. And then less than 24 hours, PM now said kindergarten actually can operate during MCO again. So I think, very sorry to say, but I think MOE is making a fool of themselves in this case. So we really need the minister, the deputy, and the ministry to be more sensitive and be more reasonable when planning all these MCO and all these SOP. Okay, are there any questions?
Also, for the media's information, we have also received inquiries and complaints from not the usual tadika or taska, but for centers providing services to children with disabilities. For example, speech therapy, children with autism. These are one-to-one sessions where they don't fall under tadika or taska. And when they call Kementerian Kesihatan, they are asked to refer to MOE. MOE is then saying that, oh, this is health related. So people are in a limbo because of that. And, they cannot get any clarification from MKN. And this has been going on in the first MCO, second MCO, and third MCO.
Any other questions from the medias?
Yes, morning, maybe I'm from Negeri Sembilan, Joyce Loy.
Oh, Joyce, hi.
Yes, morning. Sorry, here I want to add on in Negeri Sembilan. So because that previously this yesterday news, so in some of my business partners said, if the MCO, like President Sidang said, if MCO 1, MCO 2, and MCO 3 is very clear instruction for us, then in 24 hours, our private sector, we can continue to know what we need to do. Okay, then the second thing is, if their MOE say if it close or PM say open, so I think some of the kindergartens principal, they are worried about it because they don't know want to open or close, because our Negeri Sembilan, the pandemic cases is quite high risk now these 2 weeks. So some of the principals say, if they are like MCO, they are very clear for us to open it, but our pandemic, the cases in our school, maybe they might close. So this choice will depend on the own tadika. So maybe they can let them discuss whether they need to open or close by their own self. Then second thing because we are the front runner for the tadika, a lot of teachers, because they need to hugging the children, those who are crying, maybe they are got a moody, then maybe at the vaccine, maybe we are the frontliner. We hope we will go to the first for vaccine for us. Because previously, I think our Negeri Sembilan will apply for our frontliner, for kindergarten teacher, for vaccine first. But by the moment, we still never receive any news for our private sector tadika. So hopefully, this one will mean important for us, for our tadika teachers and principals all.
Thank you, Joyce.
Okay.
I raised about this vaccine issue several times. Where it's always one of the, we urge the government when they, first of all, make teachers one of the priority. And when we say teachers, we should not limit to government school teachers, but also should include private sector as well. So international school, private school, and also kindergarten teachers all should be included. We raised these several points. I even raised it to YB Khairi several times as well. The response from him was quite positive, but I think the bigger challenge we have now is we don't have sufficient vaccine. We don't have sufficient vaccine. So even for the government school teachers, I think those who has been vaccinated, the percentage is still very, very low. But I strongly agree that teachers should be made one of the priority category. And when we talk about teachers, we shouldn't limit to teachers under MOE or the government schools, but also teachers from other, for example, the juniors, permata juniors, or kunia juniors, and also kindergarten, private school, Chinese independent school, international school. All teachers should fall under this category and not just limit this privilege to the government school teachers. But the more important thing is we must get the vaccine first.
Yes, true. And then the second, just now I say, if MCO3, like yesterday say, now they can open, but we in Negeri Sembilan is quite high risk. So some kindergartens principal will say, maybe they are open, allow us to open, but depend of the principal, depend of the school, whether they want to open or don't want, depend of them. So at least very clear info for us first.
Yeah, I think this one is, I think in the previous MCO is also similar arrangement. First of all, they allow kindergarten to operate, but I think certain kindergarten also give choice to the parents. So they will maintain physical class, but also offer online class for the parents. So I think that is a very good arrangement. But I think we need to have the clear guideline. We cannot have MOE say one thing and PM say one thing, and then eventually instruction for MOE until now is not revoked.
Yes. So, but now some of the principals say, is it better we can open on 17? Because these few days they are preparing whether they want to online or physical class. So if online, they need to prepare start on 17. If physical class, then they need to arrange start on 17 or physical class. So this one 17 is very main important for us. So need to very clear.
Yes,
okay,
yes,
thank you.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions then? No other questions. So thank you very much for attending this online press conference. I think this is a good dialogue, and in the future we can have similar dialogue as well, so that you can continue to raise the issues that you are facing, and also suggestions that we can put forward for the government. So eventually, I think to conclude, first, we hope that we have clear guidelines from the government, from MOE, for MKM, and also from the PM, so that teachers won't be confused, operator won't be confused, and parents won't be confused. I think that is a very, very reasonable requirement and expectation from the general public. And secondly, we hope that for the future, in long term, I think MOE together with the other agency need to think about setting out the ECCA. I think this was proposed. It was in PH manifesto. We start the discussion. I hope the PN government, even though it started by us, but please continue all this good effort, because I think in long run, it will actually help the industry a lot, and then provide some certainty and also consistency for the industry. And then third thing, of course, I think very important is the vaccine. We hope that more Malaysians can be vaccinated, and teachers definitely should be considered as one of the priority group. Okay. Can we conclude this way? Okay, thank you
Okay.
very much. Thanks once again for attending this online press conference. Thank you. Thank you for your time. And thank you to all the medias. And also YB Ong Kian Meng is also, he's here hearing all these press conference as well.
Thank you, everyone. So I shall end the meeting
Thank you,
soon.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.